Hey everybody, my name is John Anthony Chihak Soltero. I am the anti-hero, and for the first time in a while, I'm back with a review and reaction to comics. Um, I've been doing a lot of, well, not a lot of, at least not recently, um, unboxings, mail calls, giving you some information about different things and artists that I've been supporting. Um, I picked up the three-part graphic novel series Superman Smashes the Klan from Charlie's Comic Books here in Tucson. It took me until now to read them. I've had all three volumes for several months. Um, I'm not a big believer in signs. What I try to do is look at the here and now. It's not always an easy thing to do, especially for me, but impressions and ideals and things going on in the world, things going on personally for me, and how things I'm seeing and experience kind of resonate together. Um, so, with the news this week that the two men responsible for killing Ahmaud Arbery have been arrested finally after 2 months, or 10 weeks actually, um, and that it was racially motivated and that it was just it, an example of where we are. And this isn't even about like we have to do better as Americans, we have to do better as people. um, we can choose to live in fear, we can choose to hold on to hate, we can choose to believe that we're better because of the color of our skin or the language we speak or the social class that we belong to um, or our nation of origin. But truth be told, what makes you better is the work you put in, your willingness to stick your neck out for somebody else, um, your willingness to fight for what is right, no matter what the obstacles put in front of you are. Truth be told, until recently, I wasn't a huge Superman fan. I mean, I liked Superman. There's a lot of great things about him. Um, a few years back, I read um, All Star Superman, and the way Grant Morrison and Frank Quietly essentially recreated this icon that had been around for well, like 70 years at that point, I think 65, 70 years, um, was truly captivating. I mean, Superman is overpowered to the nth degree. He's godlike. He is a Superman. Um, but that's not the real story of who Superman is. Superman is is an immigrant, first of all. Um, Second of all, he's like a small town kid, not born of this planet, not born in this country, but he was found and raised by two kindly, you know, farm owners. And his life and the world would never be the same after that. I draw some parallels with that because my brother in law is from Missouri. Um, his parents own a farm, and they are two of the most wonderful human beings I've ever met in my entire life. They help me smash a lot of my preconceived notions and prejudices about people from the Midwest, and I guess I perceived Missouri as being from the South, and apparently it's not geographically or whatever. But um, Ed and Marilyn Poff are two genuinely wonderful human beings. They're my brother-in-law's parents. They're the Bubba's Missouri grandparents. Um, Marilyn, of course, is the one who made the capes for Foley and Grayson. Um, and that's like where Superman comes from. That's where Clark Kent comes from. He was instilled with this idea of being small town, being humble, being of the people, being very much a part of his community since he was very little, but also knowing that he was something else, that he was something different. And so this series is actually based on a 1940s radio play, a 16 episode installment called Superman Smashes the Klan. And it's the story of a four-person family of Chinese Americans who moved from Chinatown in Metropolis to Metropolis. And it's a fascinating story because of the characterizations. You know, it's Superman doing what is right, but it's also Superman's ability to bring out the best in other people. I think that's one of the things that heroes do is they're not just heroes. They don't just do amazing things and stand up for what is right. They give other people the strength and the courage and the empowerment to do that for themselves. And uh, through the course of the story, the two kids or the multiple kids that Superman meets, but the two main kids that Superman meets, um, Roberta Lee and her brother Robert, and it's uh, it's just fascinating that they can, you know, these kids can find strength in who they are, but also in turn, it's his name's not Robert, it's Tommy. I'm sorry, I knew I was gonna get that wrong. That's why I was flipping through it during this instead of doing it beforehand. Um, but one of the really awesome things about this story is not only Superman's ability to inspire Roberta to be strong, um, but for in turn Roberta then to inspire Superman to be strong. Um, this story takes place during the golden age of comics, and because it happened in the 40s, of course, that's before Superman could fly. That's before he had heat vision. That's before he had all these amazing powers. He was faster than a locomotive, or he was faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Those were pretty much his powers, right? During a time when Roberta takes, or Superman takes Roberta and this other kid who's involved in the whole sordid affair to try to save Roberta's brother Tommy, um, Roberta takes note of something that Superman does. And in later on in the story, Roberta is talking to Superman and she points it out to him. She's just like, I think you're holding back. Essentially speaking, she tells him, like, just the way you controlled your descent, that's not jumping, that's flying. And he just kind of looks at her like, well, I don't know what you're talking about because I can't fly. And all the while in the story, he's visited by his parents telling him he's only being half of what he's capable of. Like, why would you settle for being half? You can be so much more than you are. And that's not just a metaphor for Superman, like figuring out that it's okay to truly be who he is. That's a metaphor for you and me figuring out who we are and being okay with it And Superman, in a key moment, he races home to Kansas and he visits his parents and he asks them if they will still love him no matter what happens. And of course, they tell, like, why wouldn't we still love you no matter what happens? And he goes, no matter what I'm able to do, you'll still love me. They hug him and they tell him, of course, we'll still love you. Like, that's silly. They were like, we knew you were something special when we first found you, and we loved you from that moment. And so this whole story and culmination of all these things conversing all at once for me personally, comic books are a huge reason why I got sober over just over 4 years ago now. Why I fought to find a new job from the job that I had, which was a good job, but it was a very stressful and anxiety inducing job. And I started that new job just over 3 years ago. May 1st is I hit my 3 year anniversary. And I still get to help people, which is awesome. But um, everything going on in the world with the coronavirus and it's still being hard for me at times to get up and go to work. And I know it's the small steps. It's getting up. The anxiety is sometimes feels overwhelming. And if I just get up, wash my face, brush my teeth, take my meds, do my morning routine, get into the kitchen, start preparing my lunch, I'm good to go. But it's sometimes doing those very, very small things is very difficult. Um, the things we're seeing in the world with the unmasked and armed protests to give us freedoms back and open up, the economy because it's, people are hurting and stuff like that. And while I agree that yes, having a shutdown economy is hard on so many people. It's hard on small businesses. It's hard on employees who don't have health coverage or can't get unemployment or have just been furloughed and haven't been out now fired so that they can get those unemployment benefits or what have you. Um, and then, the outcry of attacks on people who are of Asian descent and specifically Chinese descent because this originated in China. Well, like, it could have originated anywhere. It doesn't freaking matter what landmass it came from. It matters that it's here. It matters that we, as responsible people, need to take it upon ourselves to be better. And I'll be honest with you, when this all started, I didn't know what to think about it. I didn't think it was a hoax at all, but I didn't think it was as serious as it was. And then once it got more serious, I was just like, well, I can maintain my 6 feet. That's not a problem. The problem is other people can't. Um, I didn't want to wear a mask because I was just like, that's silly, that's goofy, uh, whatever. I didn't want to trouble myself to financially have to go, figure out where to get a mask, even though lots of people are making them now. And it's also a nice way to support local community. And a lot of these individuals are making these masks free of charge. And, one of my thoughts was to just pay one of my friends or somebody I know to give them enough money to make like 50 masks and just ask for one or two for myself. My job, which is considered essential because it's social work, especially for older adults, because that's a super vulnerable population. They're not the only ones getting sick and dying from this, but in the grand scheme of things, statistically speaking, yes, they're going to be the most vulnerable because as we get older, we recover slower from injury and sickness and illness, and as you get older, you tend to gather more health issues, whether it's mobility issues, respiratory issues, heart issues, blood thinning issues, just mounting injuries, things like that. all these things are coming in into one. It's also Mother's Day week going into this weekend. And my mom's always been supportive of me. My mom's always believed in me, and a couple years ago started giving me work at her house, helping her xeriscape her backyard and digging these huge holes to put in drought resistant plants that helped me save to put a down payment on my newer vehicle. Um, and then has given me, regular stuff to do, but wanted to also improve her house. And in turn, paying me to paint and, move things and uh, paint the walls and the inside of the house and stuff like that has helped me greatly reduce my credit card debt to the point where it's extremely manageable, and within the next couple of months it's going to be gone. And that's not just somebody doing that for me. That's somebody knowing the struggles that I've faced and gone through and saw it every day of my life when I was a kid, but still sees it because my mom is still extremely active in my life, even though I'm an adult and I get up and I face things on my own. But this story is really about family. Superman and his family, both his Kryptonian family and Ma and Pa Kent. This is about Roberta and Tommy Lee and their family. This is about how family can make you better, and it's about how one hero can inspire another hero, but then that other hero can inspire more heroes and inspire that first hero. It's the artwork in it, the storytelling in it, the dialogue in it, the characterizations in this all make this story work really, really well. So that on the last couple of pages, you see the culmination of not just Superman's journey, but Roberta Lee's journey. And the last two pages have nothing to do with Superman. And I love when something can bring a tear to my eye out of joy and out of just this like release of emotion and stuff. And it's happened with movies, it's happened with music, seldomly happened with comic books, and I am super happy to say that this book did just that, and it delivered in every stretch of the imagination. Um, so if you have the means, if your local comic shop carries this three-part series, Superman Smashes the Klan, I highly suggest picking it up. It is it's suitable for all ages. I mean, probably an older child, maybe 9 or 10. Um, but I think the lessons in here and the story in here about learning that somebody can overcome hatred and bigotry, but learning that people can just overcome what they feel their limitations are, I think is extremely important. And that is the message, that we can be more, that we can be better. This isn't an America thing. This isn't an Arizona thing. This isn't even a Tucson thing. Like, we as people can and should be better. And I think Superman is a great ambassador for that, because like the powers and everything are great, but just the message of this small town kid who just really wants to be himself, that it's okay to be himself. Like, that's a fascinating message for somebody that, if you would think of any other human being on the planet with this kind of power, do you think they would be humble? Do you think they would be quiet about it? Or do you think they would be knocking over buildings, just announcing they're there? you know, breaking the sound barrier on a regular basis, just to keep people on their toes. Maybe not to be to terrorize people, but to just, you know, not let people forget. And Big Blue can be that symbol for us, but he doesn't have to do those things, and he doesn't do those things to do them. He does them to inspire. And this is why I love comic books. It's almost 3 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday morning, and I got stuff I need to do today. Um, I almost didn't get anything done this week in terms of artwork on the Bubble Patrol, and then today or Friday, I cranked out 2 pages of colors, officially passing the 10-page mark, past page 11, and I'll get more done this weekend. But it's been a ride. It's been a really cool ride this week. Lots of ups and downs with the AC going out, not losing my cool, no pun intended, but I didn't flip out about it. And I'm kind of proud of that fact. Produced a really great sketch cover for somebody who commissioned me and just came up with a really good idea for them. And they love it, which makes me really happy. They told me they already bought a frame for it. And then when I announced that my AC had broken and I needed to repair it, and that it was able to be repaired, thankfully, because it's a friggin' old AC unit, and I now need to start saving up for a new unit. A handful of people came out and picked up commissions. So I'll be working on the Bubble Patrol and commissions for the foreseeable future, which is great because it'll keep me motivated and it'll keep me going. But it's also a little anxiety inducing for me because I'm like, now I got to crank out these pieces and they have to be wonderful for these people. But all these people are understanding. They're like, we want your work because, one, we want to help and support you, but at the same time, we want your work and we want the best of you. So take your time. And that means a lot. So from this year starting out with a friend helping me with the money for this laptop, to another friend paying for Foley's surgery to have his teeth removed, or some of his teeth removed so that he could be pain free, and then earning some money myself to be able to help support local comic book shops here in Tucson and some independent creators. And then having my AC breakdown and just immediately thinking, well, if I hadn't given all that money to independent creators, I could have just paid this off, no problem. But I realized after my mom said, well, somebody stepped forward and helped with the laptop, and somebody stepped forward and helped with Foley's surgery. And not only that, but you didn't know that the AC was going to go out. So you did something to pay it forward and to be positive. So, I mean, that's just the way it works. And I was like, yeah, that's true. Plus, like, I had the money to be able to take care of it, but then I need to replenish the money because otherwise I don't pay my mortgage or my mortgage is late. And I definitely don't want that to happen. So I'm really thankful for this community. It's an amazing community, and it all revolves around comic books. So I hope you enjoyed that review reaction. It's super, super long, and it went on longer than it needed to. Um, but thank you for your time. If you have the means, tune in to my show at 7 o'clock on Facebook. If there's books that you like, if there's original art that you like, please check it out, pick it up. I've made my profile on Facebook public now. My previous video, the Welcome to Non-Con video, has the link to my page. I may be doing it on my personal, not on my personal page, but on the Anti-Hero Brand page in the future, just because I'm going to rebrand that page as the Anti-Hero Verse, and try to keep as much of that under one umbrella as possible. I'm still trying to rethink the merging of the two pages, because I definitely see the Bubble Patrol being its own thing. It's within the confines of the Anti-Hero Verse, but all the other stuff that I do is way different than the Bubble Patrol, and it deserves its own recognition, but it also deserves its own branding and needs to stay separate because of what it is and what it stands for. So, until I see you again, stay anti-hero strong,